Hi everyone, welcome back. This is the fourth video of the career planning video series. In this video, we will learn how to write an effective resume and a cover letter. So let's get started. So when you're on the Career Development's main landing page, you will scroll down to go to the resume guide, which resides under resources. Let's click on the resume guide. This document gives you a lot of information, tips and tricks on writing an effective resume. So before you start writing your resume, let's look at some of the tips. You should keep your resume to one page. Unless you're writing a CV, and if you do not have years of experience, I'm talking about more than 10 years to 15 years of experience, you should keep your resume to one page. Because typically HR takes about 6 to 7 seconds to review each resume. And this is after the applicant tracking systems, which are the computers that review the resume. Additionally, you will not use any personal pronouns such as I, me, my, you, she, he on your resume. You can use them on a cover letter, but not on your resume. You will also keep in mind that you will start all your bullet points within your experience section with action verbs or action words, such as managed, developed, analyzed, designed. Now these are in past tense, applicable to your past experiences. And present tense action verbs such as collaborate, research, create, and more. So if you are putting down information within the bullet points in your experience section, you will ensure that if you're talking about your current experience, you will use or start with present tense action verbs. And if you're elaborating on your past experience, you will start your bullet points with your past tense action verbs. Now, you will also ensure that your document is in a common font size. Your font size and the font is kept the same all throughout the document, except for your name, if you would like, could be font size bigger and in bold. The rest of the font size for your resume could be either in size 11 or 12. And the font will also be common throughout the resume. You could choose either between Arial, Times Roman, or any regularly used common font. You will also include your LinkedIn profile URL at the top in your contact information. Employers will always look you up or research about you on LinkedIn, which is a professional platform. So it's essential that you provide that information on your resume. Now your resume should be in reverse chronological order, which is you go most recent backwards, whether it is your education information or your experience section. You will go most recent backwards unless you're using a functional style resume. Within a functional style resume, you can have your experience section elaborated in functions, and in each function, you can expand your experience going reverse chronological order. Now keep in mind, you will highlight and utilize keywords which you are reading in the job description. So you will read your job description thoroughly. And you will use some of the keywords in your resume. And these are also caught by the applicant tracking systems to see if there is a match between the resume and the job description. Now let's look at some of the additional tips before crafting your resume. You have to keep in mind that your experience comes not only from internships or your part-time jobs or your full-time experience, but you are also involved on campus and off campus in activities and volunteer work, as well as projects. So you will highlight that on your resume as well. And you will include transferable skills along with your technical and language skills. Also, you will make sure that the skills that you're listing are expanded upon within the experience section bullet points. Now, you're also keeping in mind that you are holding some leadership responsibilities, leadership roles on campus as being involved within clubs or part of the honors program. You want to include that in your resume along with you being on the dean's list or receiving scholarships through the foundation office. You will keep in mind additionally that you will not include any personal information such as your age, social security number, your marital status, your religion, or your parents' occupation on your resume. It is strictly about you, and no confidential information will be shared on your resume. Now, you are using your resume for application purposes, which could be either for scholarships or could be to be providing this information to the employers at a career fair or networking sessions. So you want to make sure that you're piquing the interest of the reader, and accordingly you will target and tailor your resume to best fit the needs of your audience. You will keep in mind that you distinguish between using a CV or a resume for application purposes. Some more tips are provided here. What you will do is ensure that your experience section is highlighted in bullet points, not in dense boxes of text. You will use consistent font and font styles, as we mentioned earlier, and you will list it in reverse chronological order. As a last tip, you will keep in mind that your resume is a work in progress document, as and when you acquire additional experience, as and when you're involved in additional activities, as and when you're taking over additional internships, or you are volunteering, or you receive another scholarship, or you're pursuing additional education. Your resume will have to be updated every time additional steps are being taken in your career path. So this is a work in progress document, and you will also target your resume to each and every job separately. One size does not fit all. So you will keep in mind that this document will be edited along the way as you are acquiring more experience or education or additional skill sets. Now that we have learned the basics, some tips on writing a resume, let's look at what are the components that become part of your resume. First and foremost, you will start with your contact information at the top, which includes your full name, right here, followed by your address, where you will include city, state, and zip code. And in the next line, you will put down your email, which should be a professional email only for resume or for professional application purposes. Your email could be your first name, your last name, at Yahoo, at Gmail, at Hotmail, any of that, but keep in mind it has to be a professional email. You will also include your cell phone number, which should be put down here so that employers can leave a message for you, and your LinkedIn URL. Now let's look at what are the main components of a resume. You could start off with adding a profile or a blurb, providing summary information about you, branding you, if you have enough years of experience within the field or related field. If not, you could start off with providing your education information. How would you list down education on your resume? As you see in this guide here, you start off with the name of the institution, Norwalk Community College, followed by the city, Norwalk, and the state, Connecticut. Now, this is a structure that we will also keep consistent when you're putting your experience information in your resume. Right after the institution's name and location, you will then put down the name of your degree, Associate of Science or Arts or Applied Science, comma, followed by your major. Could be accounting, could be criminal justice, could be computer science, whatever major that you're selecting. Towards the extreme right, you would then put down your expected month and year of graduation. As I mentioned earlier, the format remains consistent when you also put down your experience information. Now, if you have received any awards, you will also list them here, And if you do not have enough experience to speak about yourself more within the field that you're applying to, you can add relevant coursework. Upper level classes that you're currently taking or have taken that are connected or related to your major, to the field that you're trying to either get an internship or a job in. You could list about 5 to 6 upper level classes that you're taking separated by a comma. Now, right after that, if you have acquired any education from prior institutions, you would list that or expand on that in the same format as you do your NCC information right here. So prior college name, location, name of the degree, and major. Your month and year when you graduated. It's optional for you to add relevant coursework at this point because your current education will speak for itself much more. If you have received scholarships from the foundation office, you could also add that right below your education information. If you have been on the Dean's List or you're part of Honor Society, we have Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society here at NCC. You can list that information over here. And you can put the dates as to when were you inducted in the Honor Society to the extreme right. It just gives a clean layout to your resume. You will then either add experience information to your resume, as you see right here, or your next component could be skills, depending on your preference. If you're adding skills, as I would recommend, you can then start with sub-skills, technical skills, language skills, any additional skills related to your major, also any certifications that you have received, such as you see CPR right here. Under technical skills, you will expand by adding information about any software applications, any other tools that you have used, including Microsoft Office 365. In parentheses, you could expand about Microsoft by listing Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Teams. Do not forget to also add some of the virtual tools that you've been using nowadays, such as Zoom and WebEx. Any other technical skills that you have acquired or technology that you've worked on as part of your job or your experience will also be listed here. At the same time, you will also mention your language skills. Do not forget, being bilingual or multilingual is an added advantage to you. So if you are fluent in Spanish or any other language, you should mention it right here. Now, keep in mind that the skills that you're listing here will then be elaborated or expanded within your experience section in bullet points. Now we will look at the experience section. Now, under your experience section, you could start off with your internship experience, or maybe the part-time job that you're currently doing, or the full-time job that you're working in. It will all flow in the reverse chronological order, going most recent backwards. Within your experience section, you can also then keep it as either functional style or purely reverse chronological style. And within each function, as I had mentioned earlier, you can still follow the reverse chronological order. You will start with the name of the organization and location, as we did in the education section. Or if you're running out of space and you want to keep the whole resume to one page, you could add your title, followed by the name of the institution and location, dates to the extreme right. If you're currently working there, month, year to present, or if you worked in the past, month, year to month, year. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you will expand on your experience section or expand on your past work or current work through bullet points, as you see right here, instead of using paragraphs or dense blocks of text. When you are listing your bullet points, you will start with action words or action verbs, either in past tense or present tense, depending if you're currently working there or you worked there in the past. You will keep in mind that when you are listing your experience information, you are not copying the job description on your resume. You're talking about your accomplishments. And how would you do that? You can expand about your skills section here. What skills are you currently utilizing or you developed at this role? You can also talk about the technology that you have used, which you have listed under your skills section. For example, you generated reports or generated sales reports on a quarterly basis utilizing Excel. That brings out the technology right there. You will also keep in mind that if you're working with money, if you're working with managing cash or when managing money, you will bring that information out here. You will talk about managing, supervising people. You will also talk about numbers. Numbers in terms of dollar amounts, numbers in terms of customers served, and you will expand on the work you have done through accomplishments. Another important component of your resume is your involvements or activities. Whether you are an officer with the club, a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, any role that you play within a club, or you're involved in service learning or any other activities on or off campus, they play a big role on your resume. Employers do want to see the whole you. So this component right here, you could either list it as bullet points, expanding on your involvements either on or off campus, or treat each and every role, if you have worked in that involvement or activity for over 3 to 6 months, as a separate job that you did. And you will expand it with bullet points, again, showcasing your accomplishments. Now, I do want to do a recap of all the components that we reviewed so far, starting with your contact information at the top, which includes your full name, your address, professional email, your cell phone number, your LinkedIn profile URL, followed by education, your current education, as well as your prior education information, where you can include your relevant coursework related to your field, any awards that you have received on campus or as part of your academic journey. If you have been on Dean's List, if you are part of the Honor Society, which is Phi Theta Kappa here, if you have received scholarships, all of that information will form part of your current education information. Along with that, you can then expand on your skills, whether you are multilingual, bilingual, you have acquired technical knowledge, or you want to elaborate on skills related to your major. This component is extremely important. You will then add your experience information, starting with your most relevant, could be internship experience or your part-time job, related experience information, or your full-time opportunity that you're currently working at. The structure remains similar to your education information, starting with name of the organization, location, or with your title, organization name and location, and dates to the extreme right. You will expand on your experience through bullet points and not dense blocks of text. You will then also make sure that you're adding information about your involvements on and off campus, which could be through clubs, through leadership roles, or off campus, part of any organization, memberships of any associations related to your major or your field. If you're applying for any other institution in terms of transferring for further education, you can also add your interest information as far as your hobbies or additional activities that you're involved in. As I mentioned earlier, you have a document in the guide on action verbs or action words. These are powerful words that you can utilize to begin your bullet points within your experience section. Additionally, in this guide, you have some sample resumes that you can use as a guide, again, not as a template. You're not trying to copy and paste information here, but to utilize the information to craft or create your own resume. Thank you for watching this video. I'm sure that you find this guide to be very valuable as you will start creating or updating your resume. And continue to watch the career planning video series. Our upcoming video will include information about how to write an effective cover letter.